welcome back to Switch to Linux. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday. I'm just going to give it a few more minutes, see who else jumps on here. So greetings everybody. Joe the King, I'm not sure if you're here, but yes, the stream will be up at the same location to watch it later. Brian, how is it going there, Mr. Computer Geek? Smart Linux, how's it going there? And Liam LaShark, how's it going, everybody? And Mark Kane, hello. Greetings, everybody. Just fixed some tomato soup. Nice. I just had some tacos because you guys asked me to record a video for home cooking hacks on tacos, and I did that today. I recorded it, and I ate the tacos. They were very good. And I will have the video up as soon as I'm done with it. And I'm working. I did I made some pudding last night as well because I realized I did not have photography of the pudding, so I had to get the photography going. So I now have everything to do the pudding video. Hopefully I'll do it before the week is up. So that will be up. And it is chocolate pudding. I went through and verified. I predict a fur ball. Yes, there is a fur ball over here having a bath, which is his favorite thing to do. Karim, how's it going? Good evening. I have install on cubes. Yeah, I think you sent me a couple of emails. I was not in the office yet all day, so I did not look at it. I have never successfully gotten VM to work on cubes. So, I mean, I'd have to look at it again, but tell you what I did is I installed cubes on a external USB drive. That would be what I'd recommend. In fact, I have full production systems on external USB thumb drives. That's what I do. LaShark, I am doing awesome. How are you? And is this the Debian KDE behind me? Yes, this is my Debian KDE behind me. It is totally awesome. If you did not watch the video, one of the videos from last night was talking about this build. It is a very nice build, very clean desktop. I'm running the Oxygen theme. I have a Cairo dock running the Chrome theme on the Cairo dock. I love the skeuomorphic appearance of it. It's just a gorgeous looking system. No, I have not yet resolved the volume issues. I will let people know if I do. May I ask what VPN I use? I use a VPN that is attached to my Raspberry Pi. Found a flip phone. My iPhone is dying. No, poor iPhone, it's dying. My iPhone's all right. I'm being anonymous at the pool. Nice. How's it going, TOS today? All right. So I guess, Mark, we're going to jump in on your initial comment there. May I ask what VPN I use? I do not support the concept of using a VPN to get on the internet. The reason I run a VPN is if I am not in my office, I run a VPN that will get me back into my office. That is what a VPN was originally created for. And if you have any attachment to university, that's you know exactly that's what they do, is they allow you to access the network resources when you're not there. So for example, I have a book server. If I am attached on my VPN, I can now get on my I can now access my book server from anywhere in the world through a VPN. But the reason I do not want to use a VPN, the reason I do not want to attach a VPN to my system and go through a VPN is for the very reason we're going to be talking about today. It's so tied into what we're talking about. Can we trust that company? Well, we already have a problem with our ISP. The question is, can we trust the VPN company more or less than can we trust the ISP? And it's really a crapshoot either way. I don't care what they say. The reality is a lot of companies are put together by people, if they are real companies entirely, we'll talk about that today, then they will put together some weird stuff that is just so, it's just so closely, like, how can I trust them versus my ISP? Well, I gotta have my ISP or I can't get on the internet. I'd rather trust the ISP at this point than some other country where I don't have any jurisdiction, where they probably are keeping logs, whether or not they tell me or not, because guess what, guys? I got a secret for you. Companies lie. They do. They do. They lie. It's amazing. It's shocking. I know. It's totally surprising, but companies lie. All right. So I do not use a specific VPN other than a VPN when I'm not in my office. I have a Raspberry Pi hooked up to a VPN that I can access my office resources. Have I seen Purism laptops? I have not. That sounds like a fun thing to look into. Hello, Daniel. How's it going there? VM Ubuntu. Yeah, I was trying it on Linux Mint VM. Let's see. VPN is just a ISP in a different area. Essentially, that's true. And the reality is my ISP can see a lot of it can see all the IP connections that I'm making. A VPN can also see all the IP connections I'm making. The difference is if I'm running it through a VPN, then it passes my ISP and the ISP only sees that I'm perpetually connecting only to that one resource. But then the final endpoint company, the VPN company, can then track all that data. Now here is the problem. You guys ever hear of the Safe Surf browser plugin? Let me pull up their website here real quick. Okay, so here is the Safe Surf browser plugin from Panda Security, the cloud security company. They have this plugin. You visit a website. When you go into Google, you'll see these little dots here. Whoa, the trustworthiness. Like the green dots is a good trustworthiness. The red dots is a bad trustworthiness. This is a plugin that will help you with the trustworthiness of the site. There's a little problem. This plugin tracks every bit of data that goes to your browser. They collect it all up, and they package it on, and they sell it. Did you read the terms of service? The Safe Surf security plugin grabs all your data. Well, that's one of the reasons people use a VPN. No, it's more private. It prevents my ISP from seeing what I'm seeing. Yeah, but now the VPN company can see what you're seeing. You see, we have a problem. If you really want to be anonymous, the best way to do the anonymous stuff is to use Tor. Okay, that's the best way you can be anonymous if you want to try and stay anonymous. That's the way. So we have to ask these questions. Can we stay anonymous? What is it that causes it? What are the fingerprints? What can we do? Well, here's one cool thing you can do. Why don't you change your entire desktop every couple months? This thing will record a completely different computer than the last computer I had in this position. Fingerprints different. They see it as a different person. That's fun. Something fun you can do. Let's get into our solutions a little bit later. All right, let's see. VPN TorGuard, check port on VPN. All right, article might explain why I done. I think your keyboard's messing up again there, Piggy. All right, technically it's just a server located in another region. Yes. I have heard of it. Spying. Yes. Should I build my own browser? I don't know if you should build your own browser. If you're a programmer and you have a passion to do it, build your own browser. I'd be glad to look at it. But the thing is this is the reason I use Firefox. I use Firefox now. Firefox and Chromium, both open source browsers. I like it because I trust it, because it's an open source project which has a long line of credibility. And so I use Firefox for my browser. And, there's other things that you can do we'll get into there. This is getting tinfoil hat time. It is! This is very close to tinfoil hat time. This article might explain why I don't always trust privacy policies. Let's see. Tor is made by the U.S. government for people in other countries to use. I wouldn't trust the U.S. government for Tor. No, Tor was created. It was created with funding from the U.S. government. I'm not sure why I ran the intro again. Oh, there you go. Tor was created with funding from the U.S. government, just like every university project is funded by the U.S. government. I got a PhD on my wall. My PhD was funded by the U.S. government. It's just how colleges work in the upper level systems. All that funding comes through. Some of it comes through from private areas, but most of it does come through from that. It was created by Carnegie Mellon University, and it became a system that even the government came down and said, we don't even know how to hack this thing. We hate it. And so you have that problem. So, I would trust Tor before I would trust a VPN company for privatizing my data. But I do other things to privatize my data, so we will talk about that. Do you think about Brave Browser? I've not had a chance to look at Brave Browser yet. This article was published yesterday. I'm not sure which article we're looking at. Let's see. Tor isn't independent, though. They ask for donations and such. let's see. There's Firefox Focus for Android security. See, I wouldn't use any extra plugin necessarily for security. Even some of you guys have asked about the plugin that I have on my web design computers that will show you the IP address. I'm very leery about that plugin because it does report and collect a lot of weird data. I've blocked it in host files to prevent it from doing that kind of stuff. But the reason I still use it despite the potential security issues is that I need a plugin that always displays the IP address, not one that I have to go up to the top and pull a menu down and wait for 3 seconds. It's critical for what I'm doing because I have to know in a second what server I'm on. And I read IP addresses because I'm a geek. All right, so in fact, many of my clients are sometimes surprised how well I know which servers are which. Like if you have a 6.9 starting IP address, you're probably on Bluehost. 107's GoDaddy, a VPS from GoDaddy, by the way. 192 is a HostGator server. You know, I mean, you get good at this by keeping track of those. But here's what we're going to talk about today more than anything is we are going to look at this anonymized data. And the problem is you have all of this anonymized data coming out because all of these companies are collecting data on you. They're collecting data through your plugins. They're collecting data through your browsing history. They're collecting data if you are logged into the systems. They're collecting data based on the types of things you do. And then they build up user profiles. Now, if you happen to have an analytics account, a Google Analytics account, and you pull up that analytics account, you can now, just on a basic free analytics account, drill down and see the long username that is attached to somebody. You can click on that and see the other types of things that person sees. That is the anonymized data. From that information, I cannot see what that is. But there's a fun caveat. I'm like the only guy that can access the database. Actually, there's two of us. The owner and founder of the company and myself are the only ones that can access the database for this video game company. But it requires a login. The login records the IP address. I can link the IP address back to the person on the analytics, link the IP address to their database, to their profile in my database, and I have the ability to figure out who they are through the database on the website, and then go back, click on their profile in analytics, and track down everything else that they've done. I have that ability. Now, I'm too busy to do that kind of stuff, but that's the scary tactic. The challenge is that there are companies that have their entire model is based on doing this, and the ease by which you get the data is the problem. So that is what the article we are going to spend most of our time looking at today as our jumping off point. So we'll get to the comments in a bit. I see a few questions in there. I'll get to those in a little bit. But here we have the anonymous browsing data can be easily exposed, researchers revealed. So here is the Reader's Digest version of this particular article. So this was a group, a journalist and data scientist group in Germany. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to see how easy it is to de-anonymize data. And so they literally created a fake company, okay? And I wonder how many of these third-party contractors that are collecting, contracts from the United States government to harvest all this data and analyze this data, how many of these are real companies, how many of these are shell companies? So these guys created a fake company, complete with a website, a LinkedIn page, even a careers page where they got, people applying to jobs for their fake company. And then they went around to all of these different data collectors and they said, we are working on this proprietary AI to help sort data. And they asked a whole bunch of companies. Now, they're a German-based company, and Germany has better privacy laws than the United States or whatever else. A lot of these companies came back and said, we have all sorts of data for the United States and the United Kingdom. We just don't have much of this data for Germany, which is the target market they were looking at. But there was one particular company that did have a ton of data, and they gave this data out. This, by the way, is a presentation at DEF CON. I'll have to see if they have a YouTube video up on that. I did not get a chance to look yet. But what they ended up getting is somewhere to the effect of I think it's, where's it at? Higher up in the article, I think. Somewhere to the effect of several billion, there he is, 9 billion data points, or 9 million data points. 3 billion URLs, so 3 billion data points, 9 million different websites, and some of these, and this is just over a 30-day period of time, others had tens of thousands. Some people only had a few hits. Some people had tens of thousands. And the problem is several websites that these people visited it was extremely easy to track down who they were. If they were also on Twitter and they looked at Twitter analytics, you can only get that data if you are logged in under your Twitter account. And in that instance, what happens is it ties to the URL. It puts your username in there. And so there was that. There was another German-based social media site like Zing, I think it's called, or Xing, Zing, or Xing. It depends on if you're pronouncing things like Chinese or like a Westerner. Then all those, you instantly expose who is who. But then you had the rest of them, they had to use basic probability models, like looking at the types of jobs. So, for example, if you were logged in, but you were at a work computer, this was a funny story. I had a client one day call me because I had a client using my very limited small hosting plan at the time, limited out their bandwidth to like, I don't know, just a couple gigabytes. Well, what they did is they set all their workstations in their office to go to their homepage, I guess, because that's what narcissistic companies do. And then they had built their web page bad. I was running their hosting, but they had brought in another third party to do their stuff and to put up a website. It was really bad. And they had inappropriately sized images on the homepage. And so literally the homepage, every single time the homepage was loading, it was pulling down like a 15 megabyte picture. It was like 25 megabyte picture was downloading on the homepage. And then another 25 megabyte picture for the second image in the scroller. And so every single time that the web page loaded, it was pulling a ton of data, and they went through their monthly data cap very quick because they had a poorly designed website which wasn't caching, and every one of their computers was loading the homepage on startup. And so what they did, Kitty came up to say hi.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day.
And so I called them up. I said, well, yeah, you're running out of your bandwidth cap. And so I went down and I looked at where all the data was coming from, and all of the data was coming from their office. It was like, well, first thing you need to do is hire a better web developer. I'd be glad to take over the job for you if you want, but you need an appropriately sized image on the homepage. Second, stop having all your computers load your website by default, because chances are people are loading your website and then going to Google or whatever else. So put something else on there to save the bandwidth, okay? And so in that type of situation, anyone looking at that data could pinpoint where a person worked based upon the starting website. And so you could identify the pool of these people work at this company. And then you look at what banking sites they go to. What is the probability of these employees versus those employees having this particular banking situation? And so you narrow things down, and that will allow you to identify people based upon a series of other things. And so what this fake company was able to do is get 9 billion or 3 billion data points, 9 million different websites, and de-anonymize most of this data in a very short order. In fact, they said the thing that took them the longest was actually getting the data, simply because they were having a hard time collecting data from Germany. Where did they get most of their data? SurfSafe. People installing this thing for more security. What plugin are you using, folks? So this was a fascinating article about how this company created this fake system and just de-anonymized all this data. So all this data is de-anonymized. All right, I see a lot of comments going through, so we're going to jump over and have a quick look at our comments. Let's see here. I think I ended up here. Let's see. I think so. Article 2, Microsoft Subnet, no conspiracy theory needed for Tor created U.S. government spying. See who this is. I could not find that page. csonline.com article. I could not find that page, Liam. I'm very, very knowledgeable about the Tor project. It was funded by the NSA, and it was a research project through the computer science department at Carnegie Mellon, but it is not run by the government. In fact, they even came out and said this is one of the few things they couldn't do. The only way, in fact, the only real instance where the Tor system was compromised was in the Playpen case, and in the Playpen case, they executed a vulnerability in the Java. They executed a JavaScript vulnerability that went through Flash. On Firefox, I believe is what they did. That's the only way they've been able to figure it out. So I will look for this article, or if you can PM it to me, I will have a look at it when we're done here, and who knows, maybe I'll use it later this week. Let's see. May I ask your thoughts on DuckDuckGo search engine? I hate it. As far as it doesn't provide bad results. It's just it is horribly designed. The CSS makes me want to vomit, and I would really much prefer. I like Start Page because the layout is very easy to use. So it's not a bad search engine as far as Kitty's being queued up on my desk. Look at that. It's not a bad search engine as far as the results. It's certainly better than Google or Yahoo or any of these other systems that are very spy related. But it also, though, is not a... What? Are you going to take my pen cap and run away now? See ya, Kitty. That's all he wanted. He wanted a pen cap. Now he's out of here. All right. But I just can't stand the style of it. That's the thing. DuckDuckGo isn't secure. Haven't you seen the news? I have not seen the news on DuckDuckGo. Start Page is the only search engine that is trustworthy anymore. Yeah, I like Start Page's company philosophy. I like the group they come out of. I like they're open with how they respond to law enforcement requests and things like that. So something better than using VPN. I'll talk about that today. But really, you use a VPN. A VPN was designed to get into a network. So if I'm not at my office, I can VPN into my office and access my network shares. That's a legitimate purpose of a VPN. What I do with it is I have the security cameras, you see, that run. Well, the security cameras are not out exposed to the internet. I do not let those things on the internet, okay? Because they're IoT devices, and they're old IoT devices, and they're probably insecure. So I do not allow them on the internet, so I have to VPN in to access the camera feeds when I'm not in the office. And but is there something better than using a VPN? I just don't worry about it, because either you're giving your data to an ISP or you're giving your data to the VPN company. And I don't think either one of them is necessarily trustworthy, but I'd rather have fewer connections than greater connections. That's the reason I'm not into the VPN system. But as far as privacy is concerned, should I answer that? Nah. I could call him back and tell him I'm on a live stream. He'd get a kick out of that. I'm going to call him back and tell him I'm on a live stream. He's been trying to get a hold of me for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. This will be funny, guys. I'm going to call a friend on a live stream. How's that? I would like that, please. Thank you. I wouldn't call, except he's been trying to reach me for a couple days, and he keeps his phone off. He's probably leaving me a voicemail. I bet he's leaving me a voicemail. I'll call him back in a minute. Maybe he'll call me back in a minute. All right, let's see. About doing anonymous search. Let's see. Exit nodes we know is a long thing. Talking big on something we already know. Maybe let's talk a little bit more about Tor. I'm going to try and call him back one more time. Let's talk about... Hey, how's it going? Hey, you're live. I'm live streaming right now. You want to jump on and watch? Yep. So I'm going to jump off the phone here. But if you catch it, like if you jump on the next minute or so, you might see this call. And I'm about to talk about Tor, too. You might like it. All right, I'll call you after I'm done. All right. Bye. That was fun. All right. So anyway, the way Tor works, and the reason it's frequently their logo is an onion, and the reason is what they use is they use an entry node, an exit node, and 3 layers of encryption. So you have your basic entry node where the computer sits. So if I were on the Tor network right now, I'm sitting here on Tor, and I make a connection out through the Tor network. What happens is the connection that I'm making to a second connection is encrypted, okay? And that data is encrypted, and then the decryption is only shared between these 2 computers. But then what happens is there is a second node, and the second node goes from this one over to another computer. Let's see, there's 3 computers involved in the node. So there's another transfer so that the second computer cannot see what the first computer is seeing at all because it is encrypted and the data cannot be viewed by that computer because it doesn't have the encryption keys on my initial computer, which would be my computer. And then it takes the data to a third node, which is called the exit node, which is where the server goes. So the server will log the IP of that computer and those connections, and then it sends the data back through an encryption key and then back through another encryption key, and that's why it's more secure. So if a person can gain control of the same entry node and the same exit node that is used by your system, they can de-anonymize the data using the information we're talking about and it allows them to identify you because they have the entry node where it's starting and the exit node where it's ending, and they can keep track of the hash of the bit tags going through. So if they can compromise the entry node and the exit node, then they can get a system. This is why a lot of people who say Tor is one of the better things to use, however, we need more people on Tor. That is the important thing, is that the more people that use Tor, the more secure it becomes because you get a much smaller chance of the same person controlling the entry node and the exit node. And another way that they try and make it secure is that they try and bounce between different countries and jurisdictions between each of the nodes. And that's why Tor is a better way to go. If you're really looking for anonymous web browsing, Tor is the way to go because of that. Now, I'm not that paranoid about it. I am paranoid enough to run scripts on my own computers that would prevent a lot of these things to work. Like, for example, don't use SurfSafe web plugin. Or any other plugin that does that kind of stuff. Any proprietary plugin can very feasibly collect your data and sell your data. And so we have to keep that type of thing in mind. And that's kind of the thing we're talking about. All right. I sent an article to you. If you feel like looking at it, just check your email later. Sum it up. Blue Phone Company lied. They don't collect calls and message anymore. All right, y'all. I'll have a look at it when I get a chance. Do you think about Systemd on Linux? I know nothing about Systemd as far as that. It's something I really need to dig more into and understand a little bit better. Logging into your accounts always reveals your identity, your digital identity. Correct. And that is why you identify specific accounts. For example, if I can find it. Welcome to my fun spindly of computer operating systems. If I want to do banking, this is the only computer I have that can access my banking. Good luck tracking me down and identifying anything else. But that thing does nothing else. Oh, let's see what else I got. Up. If I need to do work for that one project, here is the operating system for one specific contract that I have. Nothing goes on this system that's not related to that contract, and nothing gets done on that contract except on this system. They have a very hard time tracing things back. On top of that, this thing is cubes. This guy runs cubes. Okay. I got all sorts of fun stuff. And, I change this operating system very frequently, the one that's just out of view because of the comments. my Debian system, anytime you change the operating system, you're changing the fingerprint. It creates a new user identity for who you are. And so don't log into your account. So that's also, though, why I use a different browser for YouTube than I use for anything else. Do not stay logged into YouTube. Too many people do it. It's what they want you to do. It's what they've been programming you to do. Everybody's been programming you to just log in the account, stay in the account. In fact, if you look at the new Google login process, it is way more insecure because there is no option to not remember me anymore. If you want to log in, you have to use a private browsing window to do that. And that is a challenge because it means it's less secure, because it wants you to stay logged in. It wants you to forget you're logged in, and then you don't even know you're logged in for several days later when you accidentally land on Google again. But Google's been harvesting all this data because guess what? You're logged in. So don't log in on those accounts. That's why on my computers, I only use Chromium for anything related to Google, and I use Firefox for everything else. And I do not let anything that I do on Firefox cross over to Chromium and vice versa. It prevents them from being able to track what I'm doing. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But it certainly is a lot better than staying logged in on Google and using one web browser for everything that you do. All right, let's see. Wow, I lost my place. So you put wrong data about yourself, change IP proxy. Google and Facebook hates it when you use Tor on them. Yeah, actually Facebook will flip out on you if you use Tor. Hey Shane, how's it going? Hello, don't want to get you off topic, but what is a good distro that looks good and is light? I like Peppermint OS, MX16. I'm using Linux Mint Cinnamon right now. Let me find my, there we are. There's my desktop right now. This is Linux Mint Cinnamon. I have this guy set up pretty much just like Windows. It's fairly light. It's not super system heavy. Let me find what my system's running right now. Okay. So right now I'm actually only running on 3 gigs of memory despite having 2 HD cameras running, streaming to YouTube. I have Firefox open, I have Chromium open, and a few other tabs across 2 monitors. I think this is light enough. That's pretty good. And you know, you can see my CPUs are doing some work, but you know, my memory's not super high. Linux Mint Cinnamon's good. But if it really has to be light, I'd look at Peppermint. Honestly, I like Peppermint. To use separate accounts for each IP identity, logging in the same accounts on multiple IPs. Okay. Good evening, James. How's it going there? Link didn't work for me either. Just search for Tor made by government. If I can actually highlight that. Yeah, I think that whoever's writing this article misunderstands how academic research works, because the government funds pretty much everything that goes on inside of academia. All right, I got the article. I don't know who this group is from IDG is, but I've seen I don't know how many different websites by them in the last couple of days. All right, here's what I'm going to do is I don't want to spend the time right now reading all that, so I'm going to add it to my list of things to look into, and I'm going to look into that a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, I see, but I think it's, my guess is, having not read the article, my guess is it's somebody who's jumping on the idea that it was funded by the government, because guess what? Every university project is funded by the government. My PhD was funded by the government. It did nothing. Cook eggs for my brother. Be right back. All right, man. Good evening, Gavin. How's it going there? Meow. Where's my kitty cam? Meow. There he is. He's chilling. Actually, you know what? I should have. There we go. There we go. That's better than looking at my face, right? There's a kitty out there. Kitty, kitty. Hi. Oh, he's going to come over now. All right, let's see. Cinnamon version, it's heavy on my machine. Don't know if Mate is similar to cinnamon. I think Mate is a little bit less system heavy than cinnamon. I'm not sure. My son loves your kitty, actually, so do I. Yeah, he's cute. I got 2 rascally guys around here. The other one's not very social. Hey, Paul, how's it going? What would you recommend as the best way to be relatively anonymous? Do you think buying a VPN and using cubes, Hunix? You know, I mean, cubes with Hunix is a good option. What I do personally, I don't bother with all of that. What I do personally, though, is what I like to do. Hold on, I'm trying to find just the kitty cam here. Come on, where's my kitty cam? There you go. Better looking. He thought he was getting a pet. Yeah, all right, I'll pet you. And so what I do is I have a script that blocks pretty much all advertisers. And that pretty much blocks all trackers, because you can basically say if someone's advertising to you, they're tracking you. If they're tracking you, they're advertising to you. And so finding a good advertising script is good. ICQ. Hey, ICQ, how's it going? Good to see you as well. You will still be tracked, but the data is useless, unreadable. That's the thing. You will still get some tracking stuff. There's no way to turn any of this off. The best thing we could do is have laws and regulations put in place to say you may not collect data on a person unless you have opted, that person has specifically opted in. Get sandwich. Who are we talking to? All right. I2P is better than Tor in terms of privacy. I'll have to look into that one. Okay. Is that an old Nokia smartphone? This? I have a flip phone. It's my business line. I have a client that's like, you should get on Signal. No. Can't. Oh, boy. Just ordered X220 ThinkPad. Looking forward to cubes. Have you heard of Purism laptops? I have not. I think I've seen that comment already, but I've not heard of them. I think I've probably heard of them. I haven't looked them up, is probably the more accurate statement. Try bootable, see if it tickles your fancy. I think I missed some questions in there somewhere. Yeah, I think I definitely missed some questions in there somewhere. All right, let's see. I think I was here. Gain a subscriber. Very well put together information. Thank you, James. I appreciate that. Okay. Cryptography engineering allows for many things, both good and evil. Is there something better than Tor for anonymous privacy? You know, there's a few other systems out there. I know about Tor. I don't know about a lot of the other systems. That's kind of what my take is. Set up your own VPN in a different country or region. Yeah, there you go. I mean, if you have a friend in another country and you can set up a VPN for him, he can set up a VPN for you, that'd be a fun way to go. Because then I can set my VPN up personally to trash all logs. He can set his up to trash all logs. That's the best way to go. You're crossing jurisdictions, crossing country lines. No logs are being kept because you're basing on a good mutual friendship. In fact, I could probably even do the same thing, routing all my traffic through a friend's router and routing all his traffic through my router with no log access. That might actually be a good way to do it too. Because then the ISP says, like, he's connecting to this ISP, but he's only connecting to, And then they'll probably shut us down because they don't like shenanigans like that. Using multiple VMs, different VM for each function help. I think it does, and that's actually the exact logic of cubes, Brian. So look at cubes if you want to try something like that, because it's just, I love cubes. I really like it. It's pretty sweet. James, okay, I think I read that one there. Still be traced by your IP address. The thing is that putting in an IP, like an advertiser blocking script, I think is one of the better things to do for that. Paper, envelope, pen, and postal service. No, because then somebody will just steal your mail. I don't know. Do you trust the distro like Deepin, which comes from China, with spying issues? I don't know. I've looked at Deepin before. There's nothing in Deepin that would really make me want to investigate it in fine detail. How's that? Does that sound good? All right. Puppy Linux is light, but can't live stream from it. Probably not. All right. Let's see. Emma, how late am I? 40 minutes late, apparently. Greetings there, Blaster Gaming. Sandwich calls. Nice. I'm still to try cubes. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying cubes. I put up a couple production cubes. They're pretty good. I like them. Can you please link the ad block script? Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute, JJ Game. All right, LOL. Then remind me if I forget. Still remember to ask you to put your comments over the kitty cam. So it looks like you're live streaming like your cat is looking at the mouse wherever you move it. He probably is. Woo! Whoa! He can't see it. You know that, by the way, that XFCE physically can harm your desktop because of cats? What's the harm in being tracked? We'll get right back. Oh, you know what? Let's stop right now and get right back on track. What is the harm of being tracked? That's a fabulous question. So we've already looked at this article here, and I'll try and remember to put these articles in the description there. But the problem is with being tracked. In my take personally, I hate the concept of all of this tracking simply because what they're trying to do is figure out how to push every button that you have to extract every unit of commerce out of you. Even to the point where it's not even the fact that you're spending your money on it, but you're spending the bank's money on it and going in high debt to your bank. And so what's going on a lot of times for me as far as the marketing, and the reason I don't want to be tracked this much, it doesn't have anything to do with the government and what I'm doing. I mean, that whole argument, I'm really not doing anything illegal, is valid for me. I mean, I'm not. The problem I have isn't quite as much the government tracking as it is the corporate tracking. Because I do not want the companies to know everything I'm looking at. I do not want them to know every curiosity I have. I do not want them to know all of those little things. Because they're taking all those little things, putting it into a model, and trying to titillate you to the point to where you simply go into impulse mode, buy, everything's a crisis, everything's a notification. If you watch my outdoor philosophy series I have going on right now, the book First Things First, this is that type of stuff we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that in our modern world, when that book was written in the early 90s, I believe, we talk about the 4 quadrant things. And the 4th quadrant were the waste of time things. They were not important. They're not urgent. They're just kind of there. They're the television. You come home, you turn on the TV, you sit there and you veg. That's quadrant 4. The problem is a lot of those quadrant 4 items are becoming quadrant 3 items in our modern society because notifications. Even your web browser wants to send you push notifications. So if you do not catch that thing and turn off push notifications, which you can do in the about config geolocations, if you do not disable push notifications and you accidentally click the yes when you meant to click no, you can be on the internet, whatever, and then boom, you have a notification. This new news site that you looked at one time ever for a research project published a new article. Guess what? I don't care. Okay, what that does is it takes a non-important, non-urgent item and it moves it into quadrant 3, an important, a not important, an urgent item, and it draws my attention away and it tracks me down. The problem with all this data collection is they're working on building models that will, they're working on building models that will figure out what to the psychological nth degree does it take to get somebody to buy something. And they are using each person as a unit of commerce, a unit of extraction, and attempting to extract every bit of money out of this person through the subscription services, through everything else they're doing. And this is the problem, is that they're collecting all this data saying, well, it's all anonymized. And the reality is, and the reality of the program and why we're talking about this today is, no, this data is not anonymized. So this article is back from January 2015. So this is a fairly old article now, updated September 2016. That's a funny time to update the article. But basically they're saying you can take all this anonymous credit card data, and this anonymous credit card data is not really all that anonymous. You can track it down. And so pretty much this was a study done at MIT. And what they did is they were grabbing, just using some data sets and just trying to de-anonymize this data. And it turns out it's fairly easy. And using the same methods we already talked about. If you work at company A and you live on street B, and you can track down, if you drive by a gas station every day at 4 o'clock, and every day at 4 o'clock there's a transaction for this anonymous credit card transaction, guess what? That's probably you. And so they're tracking this stuff down, and then they can de-anonymize it, which is a huge security risk for you as an individual. Now, what caused this to really become worse and really bubble up to the surface of everything was one of the things that had happened just not too long ago, and that is that Google had created a new suite of tools. Let me pull up this original article from Consumerist, I think. So this was back in May, and I talked about this in one of my live news streams at the time. But basically what happened is Google has connections with over 70% of credit card companies, which, by the way, monitors not just credit cards, but debit cards. So even if you're on a debit card and not a credit card, then what can happen is they have access to this data. They're grabbing all of this data and they are dumping it into your profile for the advertisers. So what this basically means is that now an advertiser can now check if a person looked at your ad, did they buy something of your product's approximate price in an offline situation as well. The problem is all of this data, whether the credit card data or not the credit card data, is now de-anonymized. And so what happens is if individual company or maybe a hacker or maybe a scammer, can you imagine the scammers getting a hold of this information? What do you have to do if your credit card company calls you because there's a fraudulent transaction? You have to verify a purchase. What if they know all your purchases, even the ones you don't remember because they're looking at them on a screen? So that's why when Carl Stewart, the idiot, tried to steal $1,500 from my account, the idiot, you're supposed to start with a small transaction to see if it works first. Carl Stewart, the idiot. Of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, my debit card, not credit card, debit card was compromised in the GameStop thing. Like, I use my debit card like once every 3 months, okay? Once every 3 months, I bought an iPhone SE from GameStop. Guess what? Right at that time, my credit card data was compromised. And they don't use the stuff immediately, but they do need to use it within a certain period of time before the credit cards expire. And so my data was compromised due to the GameStop credit card leak, and some idiot by the name of Carl Stewart, probably a fake name, by the way. I'm just going to keep on picking on Carl Stewart, and if your name is Carl Stewart, I apologize. Unless you are the one trying to steal my money, then screw you. But a guy by the name of Carl Stewart attempted to extract $1,500 out of my account. My bank comes in and says, hey, that's a problem. But then what happens is their automated system calls me. So an automated system calls my phone. Yeah, with the amount okay, guys, I get so many spam calls on this phone from scammers. Do you think I'm going to engage in a random 1-800 number calling me on the phone that, by the way, doesn't match the credit card number on the back of my debit card? Oh, you think I'm going to give them real information? So they're like, whatever. And so I hang up the phone and then I pick out the debit card. If this ever happens to you, do not engage in the idiot who just called you, people. Hang up the phone. Look at the back of your debit card or credit card. You shouldn't be using a credit card, but if you are, look at the back of your credit card or debit card. There will be a phone number. You call that phone number back. And only that phone number back. You don't care if they left a message. You don't care if they whine or scream. You call the number back on the card, and they will be able to tell you if the call was legitimate. Okay? And so that's what you do. And so that's the problem, is with all this data being tracked, well, it's very easy. And if you missed the first part of the stream, then I told you the story about what was going on here is that this individual company, which was a fake company, by the way, collected all of this data and then proceeded to de-anonymize it. Well, if a journalist company can do that, what prevents any other company from doing that? Really? Nothing. Nothing. And so it begs the question, are these real companies? So I was brought back to memory of this article. Now, I didn't actually read this article. I watched their video. So CBC Marketplace, it's a Canadian news company, kind of like a muckraking journalist company. And what this company wants to do basically is, they look for weird instances of people doing stupid stuff. And in this case, what they did is they wanted to demonstrate how reviews of online products, particularly online reviews, are misleading. And so they created a completely fake company, had their graphic designer build a whole web page. They had all these things. They went on, I think on the Fiverr it might have been, and paid a few bucks to get a whole bunch of professional reviews. They had all these reviews. They had all sorts of things. They had social media going. Some people were thinking they were a real company. I mean, it was crazy, and it was all fake. They didn't have a single business, a single product, a single anything. But I think this article is probably a summary of that particular one. It may or may not be. But if you get on YouTube actually and do CBC Marketplace fake reviews, you should actually be able to find it. But it brought that to my attention. Well, look at all of these data hacks, all of these data leaks over the course of the last few months even, where people are putting stuff on S3 buckets on AWS, not securely. What if these aren't even companies? What if these are just hacktivist groups that are just putting up shell companies to win government contracts and collect our data? What recourse do I have as a citizen to tell a company, you may not collect my data? What do we do? How do we prevent it? So the only thing we can do, there are no laws to protect me. It is not likely in our current political environment any laws will come down which will be pro-consumer at all. So the only option I have, I hate to do it, but I got to do whatever I can do to block it on my own. And that is what I'm interested in doing. So let's get back to that topic in a minute. But here's where Google was basically putting together all of this data. They're linking it in with, Facebook does the same thing. They're tying it into location data, where you visited. So basically Google has an entire profile, not just what you do online, but also when you go to the grocery store and pick up milk and eggs and swipe it on your credit card, they know. They got that data. Okay? And that's the problem. And that is why I use cash. I do not use a Shoppers Club card. Okay? I don't want a Shoppers Club card. I want to pay cash. That's what I want to do. Those are the things I am doing. I go to the bank. The only place I use my card anymore is go to the bank. I think I have used my debit card one time in the last 3 to 6 months. 3 months. I think I've used my debit card one time in the last 3 months. And that was July 4th. I forgot to grab an extra 20 out, and I was taking a friend out to lunch. And I, just forgot to bring the cash that I had set aside for that. So I just went ahead and used one of my debit cards. Wouldn't surprise me if that company gets hacked and that one's compromised too. But that's the thing is as far as your offline behaviors, use cash. Do not use Shoppers Club cards. Remember the case of the story, I think it was in Washington State, where the local jurisdiction, the local government bought Shoppers Club data from from basic grocery stores and then proceeded to send out fines to people, or threats of fines really, to people who were not registered with the city as having a pet but bought pet paraphernalia. The cat's like, dude, what is going on? Pet paraphernalia. What qualifies as pet paraphernalia? My cat's favorite toy is Twisty Ties. So that's kind of what the challenge is. Now, with this, with Google putting all this online and offline data, now you, by the way, have an opt-out option. No, I don't want an opt-out option. Which, by the way, the opt-out option, all it does is adds a cookie to your browser to say, don't let him know we're collecting this data. That's all it does. So fortunately, Epic comes up, Electronic Privacy Information Center. They come up and they are requesting the FTC to look into this. I have a prediction under the current political environment, this is going to go nowhere. But you know, pretty much what they're saying is that not only is it tracking the online data, but it's also tracking. They're also tracking the data that you. That they can buy from other credit card companies when they are doing that. Let's have a look at our comments, shall we? So that was a long answer to that question, but it got us right back on top. Okay, no, sorry, you called your buddy. It looked like, oh no, Kia. Oh no, that was an iPhone. That was an iPhone. Cube's OS is good. I prefer Tails. The problem with Tails though is it's entirely a live CD system. You can configure it with a persistent drive. So a persistent drive means that you can still save the data in an encrypted format. But what I like about Cubes is it's just a full operating system. I don't have to worry about a lot of other weird stuff. They can find out everything about you. Do you think gaming will help the Linux desktop? You know, disclaimer, I'm not a gamer, but I think that given the current environment, that if more gamers switch to Linux, it's going to help the Linux community support gamers more, and if more gamers are on Linux, then it's going to help the game developers realize that they should build their games on Linux. So it's kind of a chicken and egg question, which is the best way to go, and that's kind of where we're at. I hate that Microsoft is going down the forced obsolescence route. Absolutely, so do I. That's why I stopped using Microsoft products wherever I can. Tor plus VPN should be an option. Unfortunately, VPN ain't free. Okay. Yeah, Steam is making a lot of progress. I think that Steam is going to help the Linux progression a lot as far as the gaming world is concerned. Is it considered an invasion of privacy? Is what? I don't know. Your title is right. It's not anonymous at all. It never really is if they are interested in you. Just be a boring person. That helps. Yeah. Saw a bug report for XFCE. It was hilarious. Let me see if I can find that. That is hilarious. Okay, yeah, here we go. I found it. All right, fine. Okay, so here is the bug report. So the default desktop start screen causes damage to the monitor. Here are the attachments. And here is the fix. For those not in the know, XFCE's default logo happens to be a mouse. All right, cat loves to swipe at the mouse cursor. I just got scratched, but that's the price you pay for fun. Yep. All right. Old cat at my old house. Her name is Micah, but we can only have pets. $250 a month. She lives with my grandma. That's a lot for a cat. Where do you live, DC? It surprised me. Or Richmond. Mine are like, I pay $50 a month for both my kitties, but they did cost me a big security deposit. Do you do wherever you go? What you like, what you buy is all worth money. We are the product now. Yes. Think of Privacy Badger. I have no idea anything about Privacy Badger. Never heard of that. Let's look up Privacy Badger. Hey, it's from EFF, so automatically I trust it a little bit better. So you have an Opera version. We have a Chrome version. Let me go back over here. I've never used it, but it comes from the EFF, and so I would probably automatically trust it a little bit better than most other things. It basically is going to block a lot of things, but the challenge is that it still only blocks things that occur on the computer level, or on the browser level, not even on the full computer level. Let's see. Privacy Badger is good, but you have to use it for a while to block most stuff. Okay. Most websites are using cookies. They're a kind of tracker. Yes. We, Google, promise to keep your information secure, reads their privacy policy. Yeah. I'll keep your information secure. We all need to do is see how many clicks an ad gets. This is not useless information. Take a shot every time Tom says Carl Stewart. Piggy Linux, you better not be drinking, buddy. No. Exactly right, Tom. That's what happened to me. They got access to my bank account, initially transferred a little bit out, making it look like it was a PayPal trying to verify my account. Yep. That's what Carl Stewart was supposed to do, but, you know, didn't work. Windows privacy policy, scary as blank. Yes, it is. It's why I left Windows. Canonical also gets Ubuntu users' data only if you enable it, and that is disabled by default on Ubuntu. Hey, there you go. Thanks, Smart Linux. You clarified that before I got to it. Awesome. Okay. Dash range search would pay. Yeah, that was a controversy that was done away with in 16. Well, it wasn't done away with. It was disabled by default. Void Linux on MacBook. Okay. No, but since Canonical is beyond Ubuntu, it's something to consider. I will be more concerned if Canonical actually does a sellout. It looks like what they're doing is the type of stuff companies do before they do a buyout, like before they're bought out, like they're looking to be bought. That concerns me a little bit. I'd be very concerned if Canonical was bought by somebody. Like if Canonical was bought by Microsoft, I would stop using every Ubuntu derivative there is. Sorry, Linux Mint. I'm going back to Debian. Okay. Unless they make an immediate break. But, you know, as Canonical stands right now, I mean, I'm a little bit more inclined to trust them now, but I'm not sure if that's something that that is a forever thing. All right. Let's see. Disable, but you aren't sure if they're really disabling it. It's not because it's Linux that I should trust all distros. Yep. Okay, Linux Ubuntu is open source, but yes, they claimed it's because adding Amazon support also made the user have to accept the policy for Amazon. Upcoming U.S. war events. I have no idea what U.S. war events is, what US war or U.S. war events is. I have no idea. Okay, someone added a patch with a dog on it. Yep. How safe would an encrypted SSD running Debian with a flash drive with a key on it running VirtualBox, Unix, and Tor? Okay, there's a lot to digest in that sentence. Let me try that again. How safe would an encrypted SSD running Debian with a flash drive with a key on it also running a VirtualBox, Unix, and Tor? I would say you're being pretty safe, but again, you just have to watch out that you're not giving out other data. One of the challenges, by the way, with like using the Tor browser, as you can get it for Windows and Microsoft, like Windows and Mac, and even for Linux, just getting the basic Tor browser is you have to worry about DNS leakage. Most of that is generally solved if you're running like Tails. Or the cool thing with Cubes is it runs a ClearNet system, but it also runs a Whonix system. And so you can run the internet through Cubes simultaneously on the same computer. You can run it through the Tor network through Whonix, and you can run it on the basic straight internet. So if you're on like a social media site like Facebook, you can be on Facebook or on that social media site with your regular internet, and then you can be doing anything else you want to be doing on Whonix and Tor without that. And by the way, those are, if you're unfamiliar with Cubes, it's not like those two machines will not be able to see each other. It's two completely separate network drivers, so they can't even see each other. Any recommendation for 1 gig RAM PC? Get something bigger. I'm here, not dead. Hey, Ryan, how's it going? Okay. Arch's an interesting distro, but unfortunately is rolling release. Do you recommend Arch Labs? I've never used Arch Labs. I think, Piggy, you've used Arch Labs. What do you think of Arch Labs? Antergos is pretty good. Yeah, Antergos is pretty good. WebRTC leak as well. There's an add-on for Firefox that helps. All right, let's go ahead and get into the things that I have done with my system. All right, so what I did is I used a let's see. Let me save my. I gotta save my spot. Okay, what I did on mine is I installed a script into my host file, and I deployed this across all of my computers, well, most of my computers, I should say. And so, of course, up here, these are the things that I block just myself. This guy here is the file that I'm using. And so let me see if I can get this guy copied. Copy link address. One second. We got an ugly green sky. I hope we don't have a tornado coming. That'd be fun, right? Little pieces of Switch to Linux flying all over the place. Be exciting. All right. So this is where I grab my script. This guy will stop. This guy will stop pretty much every known ad network. It blocks every known bad site on the internet. What you do is when you get to this page here, let me go ahead, by the way, and drop it down here. Paste. There's where I'm getting this file. And all this is a hosts file. And you just drop it in your host file. So you want to click the download here. And then what I do, now you'll see there's a few different formats. Generally, you want the 127001 format. Some things will tell you the 0000 format, but there's a problem with that in that if your computer is not configured to use this as localhost, you will have challenges. But 127001 is generally configured as your local host, so that's the one you want. So I grab the workstation all as a zip. We'll go ahead and save that. And then I will go to my downloads folder. So here is the file. So you just want to extract this file. Now, if you're wanting to extract this guy, on Linux, if you're on Linux Mint or something, you can do it through the GUI. I would definitely do it through the GUI because pasting this much data into the terminal is a pain. But basically, here is the file. And what this file is going to do is it gives you blocking scripts for hundreds and thousands of bad websites. These guys are sites that track you. They're sites that push ads. They're sites that are bad websites. And so what we want to do is take all of this information and drop that into your hosts file. And when you do that on your computer, then what will happen is it's going to block pretty much every known site, every known ad network, every known tracker, and every known bad website on the internet. So that is the best thing that I would recommend because it's not overly complicated, it's not totally crazy, and it does a way better job than anything else. It certainly does a better job than adding an add-on to your browser, which potentially sells your data. So that's exactly what I would do if I were looking for those options. The kitty is fascinated by the rainstorm outside. Oh, where's my kitty comments? There's my kitty comments. There's my kitty comments. All right. Oh, let's see. Oh, that's right. I marked my place, but I pasted something in, and so let's see. Read those. Read those. Good thing about it, I love it, but I find myself reinstalling distros all the time. Nowadays, I prefer stability over features. Matter the method of browsing, it's never anonymous unless you never connect at all, which is the safest method. Yes. Or just disable media.pureconnection in about config. I love Cubes OS. So do I. Cubes OS rocks. Goss is basically Arch, isn't it? I believe Entergoss is a Arch installer, I believe. So it is Arch, it just has a better installer. Is that correct? I don't remember. Yeah, Puppy Linux, there's one that works well with 1 gig of RAM. Same green sky right now, and I'm in Massachusetts. Have I used Bunsen labs before? No, I should. I mean, I was a chemist and all. I mean, me and Bunsen burners go back a long way. Yeah, I2P, great alternative. Check it out. I have not. I will add that to my list of things to look at. I'm thinking water came in. Because the cat's like, I got wet. Let's see. Purplish sky, North Carolina. Huh? Running Antergos now. Been using it around 6 months. Now, currently favorite distro. Huh. Even better, a flood advisory. Yeah, there you go. That was loud. Bunsen runs OpenBox, which takes some getting used to. Way to make your browsing anonymous. Best way to make your browsing anonymous is to use Tor. Or Unix, or I guess I2P, but I haven't researched that one, so I can't advise that one. Whoa, looks like water is coming through. The cat's a little wet. Oh, the kitty is gone. Let me move to a different comment screen. There we go. Kitty came over here. Kitty's like, yeah, I'm coming up here. All right. See, gray clouds, not green. They kind of look green. What state do you live in, Tom? I am in Pennsylvania. Even a vacuum is more powerful. 1 gig of RAM is enough for browsing the web and some light gaming. Not really. I mean, not much. What? 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 Are you trying to get to those temptations back there? Is that what you're trying to get to? Kitty's like, I want some fun stuff. Hey, 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 off my desk. You know you're not allowed on my desk. Yeah, you're not allowed on my desk. You know that, little silly kitty. Not allowed on my desk. You put your front paws up there, not your back paws. All right. Oh. I'm using AdBlocker Plus extension, but I need to switch to the host file. Yep. OpenBox isn't a good choice, especially if you're new to Linux. Whoa. Sorry, kitty. Sorry, Tom, privacy is dead. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Can't get Qs to work on my laptop. It freezes during install. Huh. Check your BIOS, Ryan. Make sure virtualization is enabled. If it's not enabled, then it won't work. Really enjoy your videos. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. What? Kitty's fussing. I don't know what he wants. Pretty OS is I2P as Tails is to Tor. Cool. I will look into that. Crypto Dad on YouTube. He has done really in-depth videos about how to encrypt hard drives and installing Debian. Very good channel, but less than 100 subscribers. By the way, folks, my power here is about as stable as you know. I'm trying to think of a really bad analogy, but it's not very stable. So with this much rain, it's very possible I'm going to have a power outage. So if I suddenly disappear, that's why. Goodbye, everybody, in case that happens. Otherwise, we're going to get to the bottom of the comments. Okay. Have you tried Pale Moon? I think I've looked at it, but I didn't look at it for long. Like the browser since it looks like old Firefox. Alright, the kitty is like kind of, I don't know what the kitty's doing. He's like kind of going crazy. I've reached the bottom of the comments. I think what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this bad boy up. So thanks for watching, everybody. I will put the comments, let me actually add, I'm going to add the download for the host file in the video description as well, if I can. Where'd my articles go? And then what we'll do is we are going to go ahead and wrap this guy up. So, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and feed this little monster right here so you guys can partake of the cuteness. And then we will wrap this guy up. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Right here, right here. One more. Oh, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. Right here. There you go.
Good night, everybody. I hope you enjoy switching to Linux.